This is the Agentic Executive. Today's briefing focuses on a key insight you can use to increase clarity, leverage, and decision-making power.
Hook. Imagine a small policy tweak to an autonomous routing agent. It seemed harmless, it shipped on a Friday, and by Monday operations was triaging cascading customer exceptions that cost weeks of debugging and lost leverage. You didn't lose control overnight, but optionality narrowed and scramble costs spiked. The fix I want to give you today, a 72-hour playbook that prevents that exact surprise and safely validates behavioral changes.
Promise. One core insight, 3 supporting points, and a single 5-minute action step. A simple sign-off checklist that authorizes a safe, short trial. If you run this, you get faster validated updates, less surprise, and clear criteria for scaling.
Core insight. Treat every agentic policy change as a hypothesis. Frame the change as an experiment with a clear success criterion, instrumented telemetry, a time box, and an explicit reversal plan. Timeboxing preserves optionality. You limit exposure to a short window. And instrumentation turns ambiguity into decision-grade signals. When you do both, leadership keeps leverage. You can scale what works quickly and stop what doesn't before it metastasizes.
Supporting point 1. Decision-grade experiment design. First, pick a single leading metric tied to the business outcome you actually care about. Not 15 vanity metrics, one metric that moves a decision. Second, define irreducible guardrails. What must never be violated during the trial for safety and compliance. Third, identify the observable sample frame and required fidelity. Which users, which traffic slice, and what level of logging you need to detect a minimum detectable effect. If your experiment is underpowered, you get misleading confidence. Design for repeatable short trials, not one long blurred run.
Curious. A practical note. Choose a leading signal that surfaces rapidly. Latent metrics like long-term retention are important, but they don't help in a 72-hour cycle. Lead with a proxy that correlates strongly with the long-term outcome and is observable within the window.
Supporting point 2. Lightweight rollout mechanics. Use percent rollouts to limit surface area. Start at 1%, monitor, then step to 5, then 20, only if signals remain favorable. Run parallel shadow lanes for downstream systems so you can compare behavior without impacting production. Isolate scope by traffic fractioning or constrained contexts, geography, account tier, or feature flag gating. Predefine explicit rollback thresholds tied to your leading metric and guardrails, and automate rollback where possible so human latency doesn't compound exposure.
Quick contrast. A big bang release gives faster coverage, but hides cross effects. Shadow lanes and small fractions let you see confounders early without amplifying risk.
Supporting point 3. Reading signals under nonstationarity. Expect noise. Systems change, traffic patterns and user behavior shift with time of day, marketing campaigns, or unrelated product changes. Account for confounders by tracking a small set of control cohorts and by measuring cross-effect indicators downstream. Prefer short, repeatable signals over long, noisy tails. If the same 2-hour signal repeats across 3 repeated one-day trials, that's stronger evidence than a slow drift over a month. When in doubt, repeat the short trial with the same parameters rather than extending an indeterminate run.
Action step. The 72-hour checklist you can sign in 5 minutes. Read this as a 1-page executive sign-off template you keep on hand. Items to confirm. 1. Hypothesis. 1-sentence statement of expected behavior change and the direction of the leading metric. 2. Primary metric. Define the single leading metric and the minimum detectable effect. 3. Scope. Traffic fraction, cohorts, and fidelity of logging. 4. Guardrails. Explicit conditions that trigger immediate rollback. 5. Rollback thresholds. Numeric limits tied to the primary metric and downstream indicators. 6. Owner. Name a single responsible person with rollback authority. 7. Duration. 72 hours with predefined check-ins at 12, 36, and 72 hours. 8. Communication plan. who is notified on threshold breaches, and how rollbacks are executed. Saying yes to this checklist gives ops a clear mandate: run, observe, and stop if thresholds hit.
Risks and mitigations. Risk 1. Underpowered experiments leading to false confidence. Mitigation. Predefined sample size and detectable effect, and prefer repeating short trials. Risk 2. Cross effects that impact downstream systems. Mitigation. Shadow lanes, downstream probes, and a minimal set of downstream indicators to watch. Risk 3. Slow rollback decisions because no one has authority. Mitigation. Name a single owner with explicit rollback authority and automate rollback where safe. These are operational details that trip teams up more often than novel edge cases. Fix the basics first, and you remove most surprises.
Recap. The core insight is simple. Treat agentic changes as time-boxed, instrumented hypotheses with explicit reversal plans. 3 practical supports. Design decision-grade experiments around a single leading metric and guardrails. Use percent rollouts, shadow lanes, and rollback thresholds. And read signals with an expectation of noise, preferring repeatable short trials. Your immediate next step is the 5-minute 72-hour sign-off. Hypothesis, metric, scope, rollback, owner. Make that the default for any behavior change to your autonomous systems.
Subscribe to the Agentic Executive for daily, compact briefings that turn complexity into operational advantage. Stay lean in experimentation, insist on decision-grade signals, and keep your optionality intact. Stay agentic. Make your next move count. Clarity is leverage. You've been listening to the Agentic Executive. Apply what you learned today and make your next move count.